Yo, what is up? We're back with a new video. This time we're gonna be reviewing the MCU Phase 4 movies. Phase 4 has been really controversial. It has had a lot of highs and lows. I've enjoyed a lot of it. Half of it, I would say.
Yeah.
It started off good. I loved WandaVision. Obviously, I love No Way Home. We liked Black Panther. Shang-Chi was good.
In this video, we're not really going to talk about the shows. We're going to wait till the holiday special comes out because I feel like that's the actual ending.
Yeah,
and then we'll rank.
Galaxy.
Yeah. And then we'll rank the entire Phase 4, but right now we're just going to focus on the movies. So we want to say spoilers for this video. We forgot to mention that, so yeah. So without further ado, let's get started with Black Widow.
Black Widow. It feels like forever. I thought it was a solid movie. Everybody has mentioned how it feels out of place in Phase 4, and that's because it is. It's a movie about a character that was dead, but I still enjoyed it. I thought it was like a nice movie with some cool action. It introduced Yelena and also Red Guardian, which I like both of them, especially Yelena. Yelena kind of overtook that movie, to be honest. Black Widow, we still liked her because we already knew her, but she didn't really stand out that much, if I'm being honest. So Yelena saw the show. I really like the intrigue, all the talk about the family. We got to know Black Widow's backstory. But I'm gonna give it the same critique that everybody gives it. Obviously, Taskmaster was mid.
Yeah.
That reveal didn't really work, and then the end, it just turned into this explosion. You see Black Widow falling from the air, fighting midair, and I'm like,
yeah,
you didn't really have to do that. You could have kept it grounded. You could have kept it like hand-to-hand sequences fighting, because I mean that's what we know Black Widow for, being a good spy, being good at fighting with guns and everything. So I think if you fix that final battle and you fix the Taskmaster thing, then this movie can actually be like in the upper echelons of the MCU. Yeah. But the ending kind of messes that up. But I'll go positive on this movie.
So my issue with Black Widow, is actually the fact that it wasn't the Black Widow movie that we wanted. I much would have rather had like the Bucharest story. You know what I'm saying?
Budapest.
Oh, what did I say?
Bucharest. Something like that. I get what you're saying. Because if it would have came out earlier, then it would have worked better. But I feel like at this point she's already done. Just give us like what we have wanted.
Exactly. And then you could have introduced Yelena at the end. You know what I'm saying? Or done something with Yelena, like, because she could have been part of the Budapest thing storyline. Yeah. She could have been part. You could have done something with that, because I just feel like it felt very unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? It really felt out of place and kind of unnecessary. That's why I always rank it kind of low. This is really the movie where I realized that the CGI is becoming a real big problem. And a lot of it is because of the COVID. I blame a lot of Phase 4 in its issues with COVID, because I just feel like they didn't have enough time. Like, this movie was supposed to come out a year earlier, so they had to move it, and because of the pandemic and all this and that. It's
kind of weird that, Endgame happens and then Far From Home comes out, and then we get like a 5 year in the middle.
Yeah.
And then we randomly get a Black Widow movie.
Yeah.
Like, the excitement wasn't there for it that much. The only excitement was like, oh, a new Marvel movie.
And I think like the CGI problem was really apparent in Phase 4, but because that wasn't really an issue. Like, the only ones that I can think of off the back of my
Black
Panther at the end, and Civil War. I think like that part when Tony Stark first pulls up to the airport, I think it looks like he's not wearing a suit. Like, that looked a little bit questionable.
Well, I remember,
but other than that, I feel like those are the only two that are really come to the back of my mind. And I feel like every Phase 4 like property had a CGI problem.
It's crazy because there were some moments in Phase 4 that looked amazing.
Yeah, like Eternals. Eternals was a beautiful looking movie.
Eternals,
Black Panther,
even Shang-Chi when they were fighting, it was great. But let's move on to the next one, which is Shang-Chi. That's the one that came out right after.
So Shang-Chi for me was one of the best Marvel movies ever, and I feel like it gets overlooked a lot because it came out in Phase 4 and because it's a character that nobody really was expecting. I honestly had no idea who Shang-Chi was. At least when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, I had a little bit of an idea of who he was. But with Shang-Chi, I'm pretty sure this is not even like how the character actually is. You know what I'm saying? What I love about Marvel is that they take stories that they came up, that they introduce things in movies a long time ago, and sometimes they don't know what to do with it. But then they in the future they figure out that it fits super well. And I think the Ten Rings, for example, the Ten Rings got introduced in the Iron Man movie, literally the first Marvel movie. And then it doesn't really pay off until now. So I think that's why Marvel is so amazing and why I really respect it and love it.
Yeah, I like that Marvel sticks to the source material, but is not afraid to take a risk and change it, because there's some things in the comics that if you make it exactly like that in the movie, it's gonna look goofy. Yeah. It's not gonna make a lot of sense. And man, I love that movie. Shang-Chi, a super rewatchable movie. Yeah. I love the actor that they picked to be in the movie. I love his best friend.
Yeah,
super funny. And man, like, the movie starts out with some fire. That bus scene, amazing scene. One of the best scenes in the whole movie. His story, the villain was good.
His dad was amazing. Yeah.
He had his little redemption sacrifice at the end. A villain that you could understand why he fell down so deep.
For sure, because of love.
because the reason that he even settled down in the first place was because of her. Like, she meant so much to him. So it's not like he had evil come out of nowhere. It was, and obviously we love when the villains have some like depth to them. And then Shang-Chi was just a fun character, you know, a charismatic character. Like the fighting sequences, everybody says that are amazing.
Yeah.
That was the best fighting I've seen since Winter Soldier. Like hand to hand.
That might have been the best fighting in any Marvel movie.
Yeah, it might be the best in general. Just so many fire scenes. Another scene that I think about is after he fought his sister in the cage, when all those people came to like get him, like amazing.
Oh, yeah, like
they were like
the building
about to be falling down. Yeah. At the end, you know, Marvel did go to a CGI monster thing, but honestly, I didn't hate it.
It looked super cool. I thought like
exactly
like cool.
Like that was one of those moments.
The design for the like the dragon and different like animals there, they were really cool.
That I didn't have a problem with. That was one of the moments that I'm like, okay, I'm not mad at it because Shang-Chi does have the mystical side to it, so it didn't feel out of place. And like you make the little critiques like the best friend knowing how to use the bow up to like being there for one day. It was like little things that happens in movies. You know, you're not gonna have them there for so long. You want to give like a part to play. You don't want to have it just there looking. For me, I go super positive on this movie. I think it's one of the best. Like when this movie came out, I was like, okay, I like where Phase 4 is going. It's taking some rest. It's taking some changes.
Because we have Black Widow, which was but then we had this one. We're like, oh,
okay. I figured going with this, and then we had Eternals after, which is like, you know, like, oh, something else different.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Eternals. I actually love this movie because to me, the movie really, really worked. It really felt like, you know, a group of people and how they reacted to their God actually being like, okay, this is the mission. This is what we're gonna do. So are you with me or are you not?
For me, it's funny because this is one of the movies that we didn't watch together because it was my mom's birthday.
Yeah.
I will say that I love the ideas that it had. I was watching Sean's video talking about the Eternals and it kind of reminded me of like the ideas like that came behind every character. Icarus had a very interesting thing. Because he was the hero of his own story. He thought he was doing the right thing. He's like, well, I'm serving my God.
Yeah.
Why are you so mad at me?
Exactly.
You know? And then the other characters, obviously, they didn't want mankind to be destroyed. And obviously, we understand that too because we are mankind. We wouldn't want to die. And then Druid, fire idea of like, oh, I wish I could do more. I wish I could take away their free will so they wouldn't mess up, so there wouldn't be war. Imagine having that power, but you can't do anything about it. You've seen everybody die. You've seen all those horrible things happen. You just gotta stay back and not do anything. What I would say about Eternals is that great ideas, interesting characters. It's just too much for one movie.
Yeah.
You had like how many? Like 8 new people that we've never met. Dude, if you want to talk about a show, this could have been a show.
This could have been a show,
long show.
It could have been a great show too.
A great show, dude. I'm excited to see them again. We're gonna you don't have to introduce them from the beginning. And something like that happened in the movie is like Kingu, right? That's his name.
Yeah.
That was probably my favorite one because it was funny. But then at the end of the movie, he just said,
he was like, oh, and it made sense for his character, but as a story, it didn't really.
I feel like it would have made sense if he would have been like, oh, I'm not sure. But then he appears like, oh, I made my decision. And it would have made more sense, I think, for him to be on the human side because he had loved the world. He was becoming a movie star. He had his friend, like his helper. His helper was super funny.
Super funny, yeah.
No, honestly, I enjoyed the movie. I had some problems with it, but I'm not a hater of it as much as others.
Yeah.
I don't think it was horrible.
And it looked beautiful.
Yeah, definitely looked beautiful. Had amazing scenes, but it was definitely a lot. It felt like it was like a hard-hitting movie. You're watching, like, wow, like this is a lot to take in.
So next is Spider-Man: No Way Home. You wanna lead the charge of this?
This No Way Home. You know, I'm wearing No Way Home shirt right now. Man, the build-up to No Way Home was one of the best eras of Marvel of all time. When Endgame came out, I never thought I would be excited for a Marvel movie in that way again. But man, No Way Home took the cake. I remember every single trailer drop was insane. Everybody was going crazy. Everybody was watching it. Was breaking records. Man, what can you say? What can you say about the movie that hasn't been said already? Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield making the returns. I know all the villains. An amazing movie. And not only were they able to do the fan service, they also provided a good story for Peter Parker, for Tom Holland. I thought he did an amazing job in that movie. He finally got his Uncle Ben moment with Aunt May dying. And he went through so many emotions of the movie, and then at the end when he kind of lets Ra's control him, I thought it was just a fire scene when we saw Tom Holland's Spider-Man finally be at his full potential of oh, I don't care, I'm gonna destroy this guy, and just see him beat up Green Goblin, that was just a satisfying moment. Then using Tobey, that mentored the older one that I already went through at his own movie, and he got taught by his own Aunt May that killing somebody doesn't make it better, and stopping him. Like, it's crazy because they're able to finish the other people's arcs in a way.
Yeah.
Like, Tobey Maguire's, trilogy kind of ended out of nowhere. And Andrew Garfield obviously only got 2 movies. So they're able to redeem Andrew in this movie and then add more to the character of Tobey while giving Tom Holland a fire, like, arc in the whole movie. So I just think they executed everything perfect. It was the perfect example of fan service plus a fire story. So obviously it has little things, like you can critique the Doctor Strange doing that spell for Peter Parker.
The story probably wasn't the best, but
like I would say that was the only like big problem. Besides that, I don't really have any other problems. The way that much insane action, that moment where they all get together, like the theater went insane. That's my second favorite theater experience of all time. So one of my favorite movies for sure for me, top 5 Marvel movies. So yeah, I mean that's all I have to say about it.
I couldn't believe this movie was like a thing. Like I really grew up with Spider-Man. Like I just like, I mean, he said everything I have to say. Like this movie was incredible. This is one of the most fun movies I've ever watched in my life. Seeing these three Spider-Man together, it was amazing. Like there's not even anything else I gotta say. It was just an amazing movie. So next, we got Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. It was disappointing, but it wasn't disappointing in the sense that the movie itself was like just horrible. It was disappointing because apparently this movie was supposed to be bigger than it was, but then they decided to cut it down and put more of the multiverse stuff in Secret Wars. But I just feel like this movie, like maybe like the marketing campaign or just the way people were talking about it, people were expecting it. The expectations really honestly ruined this movie.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? And they got Sam Raimi, and then you can definitely see a lot of Sam Raimi moments in this movie. But I think the movie itself was good. It was a very solid movie. I wish I focused a bit more on Doctor Strange. I would definitely love to see where that character went. I feel like, it touched on it in the beginning of the movie and then towards the end, but in the middle it was really less about him.
More about Wanda.
Yeah. And Wanda, an incredible character. She was a great villain. Let's see what they do with her in the future. Hopefully she didn't die. But yeah, this movie was just very, very solid.
I would definitely say that the expectations ruined the movies, and the fact that it came right out to No Way Home, people were on a high. People were on a. We wanted to see, we're gonna bring back more characters. They're gonna bring Wolverine. They're gonna bring Deadpool.
Bro, it was like Ghost Rider.
Dude, people were saying that everybody was gonna come out of this movie.
Ben Affleck's Daredevil. Like, bro, the most
people were going insane. Dude, but it kind of makes sense though. You call it Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
All the leaks, all the rumors are.
The thing is that it was gonna happen. I think like Kevin Feige was like, "Oh, we gotta leave something for Secret Wars."
I get you, but when you call them Multiverse of Madness,
there wasn't much multiverse.
Dude, even that lineup, that surprise that they get with Mr. Fantastic, and Mr. Fantastic and Professor X were the only people from that lineup that I cared about.
Yeah, I cared about Black
Bolt. Black Bolt was cool, but I didn't really know about him.
Bro, let's tell them the funny part about Black Bolt. Before the movie started, we were talking about it, and he kind of knew that Black Bolt was gonna be in the movie because he saw like a leak or whatever, and he told me about it. I was like, bro, you know what's super funny? His name is Black Igor Boltagon. I don't think they'll ever call him that. And bro, when this dude pulled up, I rose from the dead. We gotta give context to that. So when this movie was actually going on, I felt horrible. I had I puked after. Like I felt horrible. So during the movie, I honestly took a nap because I couldn't. No, nothing in the movie was bad or boring. I just couldn't take it anymore, bro. The pain was too much. It was excruciating. So when the Illuminati scene came on, everyone was like, "Yo!" So they said the leader of the Inhumans, Black Igor Boltagon. I rose from the dead. They said Mr. Fantastic. I went back to sleep. But bro, when they called this man Black Igor Boltagon, I was like, "Holy!" And then who was the guy from the actual shows, Anson Mount? Bro, that's crazy to me. I would have never expected.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was the most multiverse of madness type thing in the thing because a random ass character, bro. That was like a random character.
Yeah, that was super random.
Super random that it was that guy too, Anson Mount. That was random.
They introduced some interesting ideas with Doctor Strange. Kind of like, do you get to decide the outcome that happens?
Yeah.
And I know he has some guilt of Endgame letting Iron Man die. Well, not letting him die, but the fact that what ended up happening was the one that he had to die in. People have argued a lot. Were there other options, but it just shows that one. You know what? We're never gonna fully get the answers. That's kind of the fun of it. You get to decipher the way you want. But it definitely focuses a lot on Wanda, and I don't have a problem with that. But I feel like Doctor Strange kind of did get put to the side for a while.
Yeah, especially in the middle of the movie.
It was more of a shock of like, oh my goodness, Wanda has gone insane.
Yeah.
It was cool to see like Marvel just go all out with that violence. Like Wanda was destroying them. Like I never see deaths like that in the MCU, so that was definitely cool. And like I say, you could definitely see Sam Raimi-isms in the movie with all the little like horror scenes and all of that. Overall, I would say it was a good movie. That was messed up by expectations. That was messed up by a title. It's like the rest of Phase 4. It was different. And it works for some people and it didn't work for others.
Yeah. So this next movie, another movie that was, I think the expectation for it, this honestly might have been the biggest letdown movie-wise.
100%.
Because the other one was a letdown because of the fans, but this one just because of the movie. I never expected this movie to be the way it was. Okay, I'll just start off real quick. My biggest problem with this movie is that...
Bro, you haven't even said it.
Oh, this movie is called...
This movie is called... Okay, so Thor: Love and Thunder is the movie we're talking about right now.
So my issue with Love and Thunder was like, they literally made a comedy, but like the thing is that it was you know what it felt like? You remember those movies like in the early 2000s that were like spoof movies, like scary movies, stuff like that? I get what you're saying. This looks like one of those, like a scary Thor. You build this character up so high just to bring him back down again and make him a goofball. This movie doesn't fit at all with any of the other movies in my opinion. It's way too goofy. I'm praying that they say that it's on this dude's. I'm praying that it's from Corey's point of view because it's way too goofy. Zeus is super important. Like that's a super important character that they introduced. This man had a skirt doing all this.
But now I was like, it's being silly. It's being silly.
What is that, bro? And it, like, bro, no, like the most insane.
But man got one-shotted. Like, yeah.
Bro, like we're talking about like they wasted a great actor in Christian Bale with a great villain.
Man.
They wasted probably two of the best Thor comics of all time, especially like modern ones. Like Jane Foster, like everybody, like a lot of people really like Mighty Thor. Like she was one of the the newer heroes. A lot of people really liked her and liked her story with the cancer and stuff. And then again, a lot of people really liked Gore and the God Butcher storyline. So how are you gonna mess up two storylines in one? You could have either done two movies or done something completely different. I don't know, but this movie was just, it didn't fit. Didn't fit Marvel, didn't fit anything, and I'm really disappointed in this movie. If you take the movie by itself, maybe you could say that it's a good movie. Because it's funny, it's a comedy, this and that. And as I said, if you make it like a spoof of a Thor movie, then whatever. I'll be like, okay, that's fine. Yeah. As a Marvel movie, or as a Thor movie, it makes no sense. Compare this character to the old Thor. Two different characters, literally.
And I'm sorry, but the more I think about it, this might actually be the biggest letdown of any movie ever. Well, in Marvel.
That's great.
Okay, so Ragnarok was amazing. So everybody was expecting
like rock and rock.
Ragnarok was an amazing movie, one of my favorites in the MCU. And I think they were like, oh, funny Thor was good. Let's make him even funnier. Yeah. The Mighty Thor storyline, cool storyline. The James literally died from cancer.
Yeah.
The last person in Thor's life. And then Gore, like super interesting character, super fire actor. The idea of like your God fading you and all of that. And then I feel like you can even tie the two stories together. You can talk about how it's unfair for people to get cancer. Like, so it's like a good person to get cancer and have to like suffer from that. You can tie it back to the Gore thing. But you're just like, you know what? Let's make everything a joke. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand why they did it, bro.
I don't understand what they were thinking. That, for real. Like, I really don't understand how... I don't know how Kevin Feige allowed this. I know that he stretched out way too thin with all the properties, but bro, people say the Incredible Hulk doesn't fit the MCU, but bro, this movie legitimately doesn't fit the MCU. It's way too goofy. It has the characters, it has the MCU characters, but it has nothing to do with the MCU. Like, honestly, it really has, the tone is completely different. Like, because even Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where it was funny, but you saw how those characters interacted with like Iron Man and stuff, like Drax, and it made sense because they're legitimately really dumb compared to like Tony Stark is actually like a really smart person, and they're aliens and stuff. But bro, like Thor, are you joking? Bro, this man has literally, but he was a different character the last time we saw him, like a completely different 100%. Character.
And people have criticized already how they handled his depression in Endgame. It was kind of a joke, and then took it to another level again. Yeah, like this movie was supposed to be like the return of Thor, to being the the strong, powerful Thor that we knew, but they just made him stupid. This movie really frustrated me. I was so excited to finally watch the movie about an old character because it has been new, and we're like, oh, Thor, familiar face, one of the original 6, and they messed it up. So I have nothing else to say. Like, this movie's just frustrating me overall.
This is Wakanda Forever. So this is a movie that we talked about already a lot. So there's not much else that we gotta say. Do you have any thoughts since you've been able to gather your thoughts?
Yeah, I rewatched it. I rewatched it, and I was expecting that my second watching was gonna be like not as good because it was so long, and I already knew what was gonna happen. But man, the movie worked for me again. I loved it. Like it's confirmed that this movie was really good. It's fun. It has an interesting storyline. And that I would definitely say that is the best critical movie of this phase, and obviously my second favorite movie, right behind Spider-Man: No Way Home. It's just amazing. But Shuri was amazing in this movie. Like we always said, we already talked about it. Namor is one of my favorite.
I've seen a lot of people still complaining, making more complaints and stuff. Like Soup, for example, he said the thing about. By the way, people are getting a lot on Soup's case for not liking this movie. I think that is so stupid, bro. Like, this man can have whatever opinion he wants.
It is that Soup gets criticized when he like watches the movie, but then he critiques it. People are like, What?
Yeah,
nah, I'm
man.
never listening to Soups again. Why you listen to him?
Nah, I've seen a lot of like critiques on Soups and stuff, but like, bro, if you're gonna critique, actually like critique. Like the thing that didn't work for him in the movie, to me it worked. It was actually showing Chadwick Boseman dying. To me it worked because they didn't show him. They didn't show Chadwick Boseman at all. To me that would have been what's disrespectful. But if that didn't work for him, I completely understand.
Yeah.
But just to me, I didn't have a problem with it. You know.
But
what I mean?
I actually really liked it because they were able to put something that happened in the first movie with Killmonger, you know, putting everything on fire and destroying all the herbs. Them putting that as the reason that they couldn't like bring him back to life and cure him. I thought that was a really cool way to use something that makes sense without getting disrespectful. So to me it worked, but if it didn't for anybody, like I'm not mad at you.
Yeah.
Great movie, man. Like great way to end Phase 4, and now we're very excited for Phase 5. I would say that I'm getting some hope. I think that we already kind of got over COVID.
Yeah, I honestly think that was one. I've always told you this. I honestly think that was one of the biggest problems. That and I'll say Disney Plus. But if we're just taking a look at the movies, I think the biggest problem for all the movies was COVID.
Because you gotta remember that 2020 we didn't get any movies. So if everything went to plan, all of this content that we got in like a year and a half, we would have gotten it in like
3
2
years,
years and a half.
Yeah.
And now we're just gonna kind of give like our own ranking of all the movies. The opinions are very similar, but I'm gonna let Ale go first, give his ranking, and then I'll give mine.
So my ranking again, I'll have Black Widow as my last movie. I know I talked really bad about Love and Thunder, but if we're just taking a look at the movie, I think I would say I enjoyed Love and Thunder more. I have fun with the movie. I have my critical problems with it, but I have fun with it. I'm gonna have Black Widow at number 7 because I just think that it didn't really work for me. It felt weird. It had a weird placement. I didn't like the ending. Next is where I'm gonna put Love and Thunder. As I said, it's a movie that it's fun. It's a fun movie to watch, but I have a bunch of problems with it. Then I would put Eternals. I think Eternals worked for me. It didn't work for a lot of people, but even then I had a bunch of problems like the Deviants, like I said. Next, I would say Multiverse of Madness. Now, this movie, I told you, it was a good movie. It was very solid, but again, the expectations just ruined it. But overall, I really had very little problems with the movie. Then number 3, I would say is Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi is just a blast for me. I really, really enjoyed this movie. I love the ending. I love the whole movie in general. I had a blast with this movie. Very little complaints. Next, I'm gonna put Wakanda Forever. I enjoyed every single aspect of this movie. I love how it builds on Wakanda, and I love how it builds on the MCU in general. It sets up the Phase 5 for a lot of different storylines, so I'm super excited about that. And yeah, and then the best movie I'm gonna say is Spider-Man: No Way Home. I mean, I already said what I have to say about the movie. I absolutely loved it. It was a blast. It was one of the best experiences I've ever had in a theater. Even just seeing Daredevil, for example, like that was probably like my favorite part.
About that, yeah. So for me, I would say Love and Thunder last. It pains me to say that, but to me, it was just too much of a disappointment. Made Thor too much of a joke, like I said. And then after that, I would probably say... Okay, I'll put Black Widow after. Just because I like the fact that Eternals won for it. Even though it didn't always say it. It introduced a lot of interesting ideas and characters. And I'm excited for a future Black Widow. Like I said, it's just the wrong face to put at the movie. Then, yeah, like I already said Eternals after. Number 4, I'm putting Doctor Strange. Like I said, I love some parts of the movie, but... another bit of a disappointment for me. I thought it was kind of mid in general. Number 3, I'm putting Shang-Chi. Super fun movie. I wouldn't mind rewatching it at any time.
Yeah.
Number 2, I'm putting Wakanda Forever. It's just really good movie critically, like I've said. At number 1, No Way Home without a question. One of my favorite movies in the MCU. One of my favorite movies ever, honestly. So that'll be my list.
All right, so thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Peace out.